Alright guys, welcome back to some 428 Shibuya Scramble. Let's get right into Asawa's story. The rain won't let up. No matter how much time passes, it just won't stop. Ever since that day, the sound of raindrops had been burned into my mind. Such an awful, heart-rending sound, driving me to strip my life down to shadows. And yet, no matter what else I abandon, nothing will make the sound of rain stop. What? What are you on, my guy? I stared at a postcard that was nestled into the final page of the photo album. He purchased it 2 years earlier while on a trip with Maria to the Middle East. Originally used to indicate Iran, Afghanistan, and the regions surrounding. The returns to southwestern Asia and the section of northeastern Africa. However, in Japan as well, the US, the Middle East is often understood to refer specifically to those parts of the region with a strong Islamic influence. He mentioned that he was being sent there on business, and Maria had just blurted out, "I want to go with you!" She recently developed an interest in the Middle East conflict, and apparently she had been needing to see the area firsthand. The ongoing friction in the Palestine region between the Jewish people, who had founded the nation of Israel, and the Arabs, who had been living there previously. The religious and historical context of this cultural clash is well beyond the scope of what can be elucidated here. His daughter's newfound curiosity had taken him aback. She had always tended to be quiet and self-contained. The clumsy conversation on board the airplane, the meals eaten together in awkward silence, all felt like a distant memory to Osawa now. "Ma'am, I'm afraid I can't let you do that." He heard Kajiwara's voice outside the door. "Why ever not? I'm just going out for a bit." The detective was arguing with I. Fantastic. And just who it was who told me I should try to go about my life as normal, Osawa's wife sneered. "Ma'am, please, how would you feel about being told just to sit around and wait?" I's angry shriek jerked Osawa to his feet. He hurried from the study to try to calm her down. Jesus, this bitch. Ma'am, please wait!" By the time Osawa had made it downstairs, his wife had already stormed outside despite Kajiwara's attempts to stop her. Osawa doubted anything he could have said would have stopped I from leaving. Trying to physically keep her here from going out would have only made even for an even worse uproar. He was glad that at least it hadn't come to that. He was turning to head back to the study when Kajiwara caught his eye. Resigned, he headed down the stairs and bowed to the detective. "Any idea where she's going?" Kajiwara said. Or asked. "I mean, at a time like this." Osawa shook his head. "I wouldn't know." "I didn't think so. You know your wife really is something else." Osawa arched an eyebrow like The Rock. "That's one way to describe her. A rather rude way, as a matter of fact." "Oh, no offense intended. It's just that ever since this case started, you've both been holed up in your own respective rooms." The more Kajiwara spoke, the more irritated Osawa became. "What's your point?" he demanded. Who the fuck does Kajiwara think this dude is? That's not how you talk to... I just mean, you haven't been having any marital discourse. In roughly 6% of this household's discourse between spouses is largely non-existent. Various reasons for this offered by the couples in question. Many claim they were too tired to have the energy, or stated we ended up fighting when we talk, or we have nothing to talk about. Mind your own business, Osawa snapped. Kajiura dipped his head defiantly. The two of us not talking isn't a new thing anyhow. Osawa added, I policy say not having pointless conversations. Without having a single conversation. On many days he opens his mouth only to eat or brush his teeth. 14 consecutive days during which he didn't talk to anyone. Huh. It didn't look as though Kajiura quite understood. He doesn't have to understand, bro. Microorganisms such as viruses don't have conversations, and yet they still continually propagate in order to survive. Thinking about viruses, Osawa was back in familiar territory. He felt a surge of confidence. Once you have a clear purpose, conversation is unnecessary. Do you have a clear purpose for the relationship with your wife, Mr. Osawa? Of course I do. To be a family. Arms crossed, Kajiura struck a thoughtful pose. At least I've learned one useful thing today, Mr. Osawa. Namely, that you don't like that pointless conversations. It's a good thing to know. Kajiura uncrossed his arms for a moment and then crossed them right back again, furrowing his brow. But see, that's funny. You seem to have a tendency to have pointless conversations with me, and because you keep coming to talk to me. Osawa saw red. You don't leave me much of a choice. Tanaka poked his head out of the living room. Is something the matter? He asked. No. Osawa struggled to regain his calm. Perfect timing, actually. There's something I need to talk to you about. He turned back to Kajiura. My apologies, detective, but would you mind giving us some privacy? Kajiura didn't move. Detective? Osawa gave the policeman a hard look and saw him crack a smile. Yes, what is it? Kajiura said at last. Don't you play dumb with me. Give us some privacy. Is this a discussion I shouldn't overhear? Actually, yes, it's work-related. There are business matters I'd prefer to keep confidential. Ah, I see. The fuck is going on in this house, bro? This is why this story doesn't suck me in. It's just so weird. Kajiura is so weird. Osawa is so weird. I is an annoying bitch. The only one I like of the Osawa family is Hitomi and Maria, and I haven't even met Maria yet. And to be honest, Maria doesn't sound all that fun either. Reluctantly getting to his feet, Kajiura slipped away into the living room. Tanaka. Osawa began. About those emails. He stopped abruptly. This fucking dude is so weird. Kajiura had reappeared in the living room door, staring right at them. What are you doing? Osawa demanded. Oh, should I not be watching? Does he not? Is the word privacy not a word anymore? Do I need to check a dictionary? Osawa felt like he was about to burst a blood vessel. I mean, you never told me I couldn't watch. Because it should be obvious! The detective made a scolded puppy face, then closed the living room door. Osawa let out a heavy sigh. He'd never been an extrovert, but he didn't recall human interaction being quite this draining. Anyway, sir, Tanaka prompted, you were saying? Yes, about those emails. Something doesn't make sense. I don't understand how Mr. Makino was able to get... I just remembered what was going on between Tanaka and Hitomi, and I feel uncomfortable again. Just looking at him. God, I hope I'm not reading too far into that. Just like Archie tried not to read into that. I hope I don't read into that. It's shameful. That's all I gotta say. It's just shameful. On both ends. But, I mean, it like... Comes to love when you're there for them. But, god damn, bro. Like... Have some self-control, bro. If she's going through a hard time, it's not the time to... Whatever. I'm just gonna assume they're just good friends. And then, when that tsunami of information comes that they've been smashing on the low, I'm gonna throw up. Yes, about those emails, something doesn't make sense. I don't understand how Mr. McConnell was able to get the antiviral agent to anyone on the outside. Sharing an Okashi Pharmaceuticals drug with external sources while it was still under development required the approval of the executive committee that included Osawa himself. There should have been no way the antiviral could be sent out without his knowledge. A few moments before responding. Are you aware of the strife between the company president and the chairman? Osawa shook his head. He was a researcher through and through. Factional rivalries held no interest for him whatsoever. McConnell effectively leads the chairman's team, and making an antiviral agent is their pet project. Despite being an executive officer in charge of the project, however, McConnell still needs the president's approval to... You know what? Forget about that right now. What do we do about security? In theory, it was physically impossible to get the antiviral out of the lab without detection. Entry to the biohazard laboratory where it was kept required fingerprint authentication. Jesus. I'm gonna try that one again. Required fingerprint authentication from both Osawa and Tanaka. Every fingerprint is different. By checking the veins in the palms of their hands or the irises of their eyes. Interesting. Without the two of them there, nobody could even get into the storage facility. It's protected by an ID checkpoint, sophisticated 3-tier lock system that requires fingerprints, multiple security guards, making it all for impossible for an unauthorized person to get into the secured storage area. Tanaka followed his drift. Ah, yes, I see what you mean. He inclined his head as thought, as Osawa continued. It's very possible for that first one. Let's check the entry logs. I mean, there's a good possibility someone can get your fingerprints. Let's go ahead and say, is it possible someone overwrote the fingerprint thing? Maybe whoever was behind the secret trials had reprogrammed the entry criteria while Osawa was overseas. This would allow them to get access to the storage facility without Osawa being there. But that would only be possible if they had Tanaka's cooperation. Tanaka, you fucking snake in the grass. Just pull out a samurai sword and stab him. Tanaka's eyes widened when Osawa shared his conjecture. Sir, he asked, you don't think I was part of this, do you? Of course not. I was merely suggesting the possibility. Possibility is 0, Tanaka said. Making any changes to the system requires consent from the board, including your own personal approval, sir. Ah, yes, you're right, of course. I certainly didn't mean to imply anything. Sorry, once apologetically. Oh my god, this fucking guy. The living room door opened with a soft creak. It was Kajiwara, and he looked stiff and pale. What? Something terrible has happened, he says. Visions of tragedy flooded Osawa's mind. Maria? Is she? Kajiwara shook his head. No, it's not that. What is it then? Osawa asked, his voice trembling. Sir, I need you to stay calm. Osawa swallowed the lump in his throat. Oh, jeez. You see? This fuck. What? The toilet's clogged. Ew, can we not? Plunger in hand. Osawa stabbed vigorously at the recalcitrant toilet bowl, struggling to loosen the unseen blockage. Kajiwara was at his side, wiping up the floor with a rag. Oh, I guess it overflowed. How did this even happen? The detective groaned. Are you kidding? I was hoping you could tell me that. Can we, like, not? The plunger sucked and slurped at the porcelain basin. This was the first of Osawa. He never tried to unclog a toilet before. Really? That's weird. You're weird, Kojiwara. I mean, Osawa. Kojiwara is the one who clogged it, probably. Think of it as a blessing in disguise, Osawa. What the hell are you talking about? What about this constitutes a blessing? I just meant that at least this happened before you needed to do your business. With the slightest hint of guile on his face, Kajiwara picked up his bucket and headed for the sink back in the washing room. Oh, he has no shame, don't he? Grumbling to himself, Osawa pumped the plunger over and over again. This was almost funny. Almost ridiculous, in fact. His daughter had been kidnapped, and he was stuck unclogging a toilet. He was quite possibly caught up in a major corporate conspiracy, and here he was, unclogging a toilet. Naka poked his head into the bathroom. Did you fix it yet? If you need to urinate, then use the restroom on the second floor. That's alright, here's fine. Don't. Just don't, okay? Tanaka stepped in beside him and abruptly shut the bathroom door. Now the two men were crammed together in the narrow lavatory. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Tanaka made eye contact with Osawa via the mirror. He spoke in a hushed voice. What the fuck is going on right now? I've been waiting for a moment I could get you alone. Oh, hell no. What? Tanaka saddled around to face him, giving him an intense stare. Sir, could you please be quiet for a moment? What the fuck is going on right now? Tanaka had tears in the corners of his eyes, so only take a moment. Bruh, if they like kiss or something, bro. What the hell? Osawa could feel the warm breath of his deputy whispering against his cheek. Tanaka reached for something inside his coat. Oh man, it's gonna be something weird though. Fuck it. I trust Tanaka, please don't be weird. Please don't be fucking weird. Please don't be fucking weird. Please don't be fucking weird. I'm trusting you right now, Tanaka. Are you sure you're ready for this? I'm not sure. This is all happening pretty fast, to be honest. I'm rather nervous. I understand, sir. I mean, now that I think of it, we do spend day in and day out in that lab. Bro, did I just pick the wrong choice? I suppose this was bound to happen sooner or later. Sir, could you please open your eyes? I'd like you to take a look at this. You will have to forgive me. This is all a bit... Osawa, stop, bro! Chill! Please, sir, take a look. No, I can't. It's just the two of us. It's probably going to shock you, I know, but please, just look. Is it... Osawa, stop! This is getting weird. Is it really that shocking? Oh, yes, very. Now, please... Please, Osawa, stop being weird. It's not his wiener. It's not his dick flopping around. Please open your eyes. Okay. No, I can't. Sir, trust me. This isn't easy for me either. Alright. Bracing himself, Osawa opened his eyes. Tanaka thrust his cell phone. Here, take a look at this. Huh? Osawa blinked, bewildered, then refocused on the phone. He could never have anticipated what he saw on the LCD screen. I wanna see, I wanna see, I wanna see. You fuckers. Alright, I gotta find, oh, it's on Archie's. It's on Archie's. There's an email from Tommy. Stifling an exclamation, he scanned the contents of the messages. There's a man following me. He has a gun and I think he's trying to kill me. I'm safe for the moment, so try not to worry. The kidnapper warned me, told me not to contact my family or the police. Please keep this email a secret. Oh boy. But didn't Hitomi give the kidnapper the ransom? Osawa said. What could anyone want with her now? Tanaka shook his head uncertain. You wouldn't know any better than I would, I suppose. Do the police know about this? And if so, why haven't they said... we're just gonna skip over the fact that he thought Tanaka had his dick out. And was nervous and anxious. No. Just gonna skip past it. We're just gonna skip past it. Let's just have it, you know, like an airplane over our head. Whoosh. Let's not talk about that. Do the police know about this? And if so, why haven't they said anything? He felt himself such as tremble as he searched for answers in Tanaka's silent gaze. Do you think this could be related to that other thing? I doubt it. If it were, why would they got after Hitomi? I think that's supposed to be go after Hitomi. I suppose you're right, but Osawa is shaken out right now. Tanaka laid a hand on his shoulder. First, just calm down and think about what we know about the kidnapper. His composure helped Osawa keep himself under control. They've taken Maria, the vice director continued quietly, along with a ransom of 50 million yen, and now they're after Hitomi. His gaze sharpened. Sir, do you think this could be someone who holds a personal grudge against you? A grudge? Osawa considered. He couldn't think of anyone that would have a reason to attack him. He'd been too caught up in virus research since his time at school to have formed any hostile rivalries. He didn't have any enemies that he knew of. Maybe someone's jealous that I became head of the laboratory? He suggested doubtfully. He had held his position for years at this point. Why would that spur someone into kidnapping his daughter now? Has anything happened recently? Tanaka asked. Anything strange since you got back from overseas? Since I got back? Osawa's heart skipped a beat and then started pumping faster. The first thing come to mind was the solicitation he got from the American laboratory. If he accepted the offer, it would put Okashi Pharmaceutical in quite a bind, possibly even enough to warrant someone holding a grudge over it. But the only other person who knew about the potential transfer right now was his wife, Ai. No. Nothing. Not that I can think of. He couldn't bring himself to discuss the transfer with Tanaki. He felt a surge of guilt for contemplating leaving his trusted associate behind. If he did make the move to America, he planned to recommend that Tanaki replace him as department director. Still, he didn't expect that to make up for his abandonment. Alright, I'll see what information I could find then, Tanaka said. The kidnapper had forbidden any contact with either the family or with the police. But Tanaka was outside that circle, and he knew how to handle himself with discretion. I'm sorry to have put this on you, Osawa said, and thank you. For now, let's see if we can get Hitomi to exchange some more emails. An uncomfortable thought suddenly occurred to Osawa. Finally, it's being addressed. He blurted out without thinking, why do you have my daughter's contact information on your phone? Tanaka gave him a worried look. Sir, I promise I can explain once all this is over. Oh, jeez. Something in the tone of his final words left Osawa to wonder. Could it be that Tanaka and Hitomi were dating? Oh, man. Oh, jeez. He hoped dearly for that not to be the case. Their age difference alone made the idea a disturbing one, let alone so many other... Oh, God. Tanaka's 40, bro. Ah. Hitomi's 19. Oh, jeez. Do I even want to do the math? Do I even want to do the math? Oh, God. When Hitomi was born, Tanaka was 21, dog. Oh, man. Trying to put aside his paranoia, Osawa resumed to struggle with the clog in the toilet. Apologies to anyone who might be eating right now. Oh, goodness. Kajiwara reappeared, still toting the bucket. You seem to be having a lot of trouble there, sir. You made it sound like the whole mess was Osawa's fault. Of course I am. I've never had to do this before. Really? I think the research you do would be a lot more difficult than this. Fixing toilet gives me 4 hours more trouble, I'd say. So it would seem. Kajiwara stood watching, as if Osawa's efforts made an interesting show. I don't know the first thing about viruses, sir, but I don't find unclogging toilets to be that difficult. Oh yeah? Osawa snapped. Then how about you fix the damn thing? Kajiwara was really a world-class pro at pissing people off. Are you sure? You don't mind? The detective asked. Be my goddamn guest! Osawa shoved the plunger into Kajiwara's hand. Fucking weirdo. Leaving the detective to handle the toilet. Oops. Leaving the detective to handle the toilet, Osawa marched back to his study. He turned on the CD player and lay back on the sofa, squeezing his eyes shut. He was seriously on edge. Kajiwara had totally broken his stride. What now? The door of the study slid slowly open. It's Detective Kajiwara, sir. Please don't come in here without asking. My apologies, Mr. Osawa. I just wanted to inform you that the toilet has been fixed. Right, fine. Osawa hardly cared. He just wanted this guy to give him a little peace. Ew. Oh my, is that really all you have to say, sir? Nary a complaint or encouraging word? Maybe a good job, Kajiwara, or you're getting a promotion, detective? Osawa blew out his breath in exasperation. How are you a detective? I'm not sure I get your meaning, sir. You are completely clueless. I'd like to ask your superiors to replace you with a detective who knows how to take his job seriously. Mr. Osawa, with all due respect, it's unusual for a precinct detective like me to be stationed here at a victim's home. What's your point? Not to brag, sir, but I happen to be an exceptional detective. Kajiwara beamed with pride. In fact, I made an excellent showing in the Superstar Detective contest we had on our police social media service. Poxy... For a moment, Osawa thought the bolt of incredulous anger that shot through him was an onset of a stroke. How could a single person be so utterly infuriating? And you can't tell anyone about this. Kajiwara went on obliviously. But this summer, a new detective manga is starting up, based on me. The fabled detective Kaji. Kaji howls at the sun. Kaji rides the rails. Kaji at daybreak. Detective Kajak. Kajak. Osawa spat out a pearl of feigned laughter. A manga? I can tell you all about the plot, sir. Would you like to hear about it? I would not. It's about a telecommunicating detective who solves major crimes using just his wit and his computer. Surely you'd like to hear about that, sir. I really wouldn't. I know I may not look it, but I'm pretty handy with computers. Kajiwara's eyes drifted over to Hosawa's desktop. Oh, hell nah! Ah, that's how that toilet water bit. What the fuck is happening right now? His eyes darted to the mouse. In a matter of moments, he cleared the screensaver and booted up a web browser. Hey! Osawa barked. Don't touch that! But it was too late to stop the detective. Yamada showed the page from RNet, a fan page devoted to Aya Kamiki. Osawa's intimate rage stroke was beginning to make his vision grow fuzzy. You come to this site regularly, sir? Regularly? Oh, well, I'm not sure Osawa trailed off, feeling the heat of a blush flare on his cheeks. That's a lot of stuff on this site. Is there a section you primarily spend time on? Well, I mean, for my part, I really only do the fan forum for folks 40 and over. Aha! With a twinkle of curiosity in his eyes, Kajiwara appeared at the computer screen. Having his privacy invaded to this degree was the ultimate disgrace. Alright, Osawa huffed. You're an amazing detective, Kajiwara. Just incredible. I see you in a little night now. Now would you please... I'm not leaving him alone in my study. Get the hell out of my room! He tried to usher Kojiwara back out the door. Alright, sir. Alright, I understand. I'll leave. But before that... Kajiwara slipped his hand into his pocket. I don't need a damn banana. It's not that, Mr. Osawa. I have something that I think might be important to you. Uh-oh. He held out a small plastic bag. Inside was a scrap of paper of some sort. What's that? Osawa asked. This is what was clogging the toilet, sir. Uh-oh. With some hesitation, Osawa took hold of the bag. Huh? That's... The passenger name here is listed as Kenji Osawa. Someone's trying to frame me right now. In the plastic bag was a plane ticket, specifically the one for his upcoming flight to the US the following week. He left it out on his desk. How did it wind up getting flushed down the toilet? This looks like it's pretty important, sir. I must say it was pretty careless of you to accidentally flush it. A weary sort of smile came to his face. Although, the detective added, I suppose the question of who flushed it is another matter entirely. So I was at a loss for words. Someone had tried to flush his plane ticket on purpose. He was sure of it. He knocked on the door to Ai's room, but there was no response. Didn't look like she got back home yet. Osawa let himself in. The stinging scent of her perfume pervaded the room, which was decorated all in white. Clothes were strewn out about as if to show her sloveliness on display. She'd been like this ever since they got married. Osawa had long since stopped caring. It must have been I who tried to flush the ticket. He knew she didn't want him going to America, but still, couldn't she have found a better way to get rid of it? Next to her, he'd been stuck hunched over the damn toilet, fighting with the plunger. So I sat down on the bed amidst the brand name clothing. Then he spotted something odd down by his feet. It was a gold cigarette lighter. Just when I picked up smoking. So I picked up the lighter and set it on the shelf next to the bed. He started out of the room, but stopped as he noticed a scrapbook on the bookshelf. The rest of the shelf was filled with fashion magazines. The scrapbook definitely drew his eye. Curious, he took it out and opened it. The book was filled with articles and write-ups about the results of Osawa's research and the company's various achievements. Flipping through the pages took him on a trip down memory lane. There was even an old company memo welcoming Tanaka on board as his new vice director. There was a photo of Osawa shaking Tanaka's hand at a party celebrating his new position. It was a little peculiar to think that she had bothered to keep something so trivial. A series of magazine articles were nestled between the pages further into the book. These hadn't been clipped out for inclusion in the scrapbook itself. Sarah glanced through them. Floundering Okashi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. It was a self-indulgent piece from some rag called 4-Star General Gossip from right after he and I had gotten married. When the piece had first run, he'd been too furious to read it. Now he gave it a quick look over. It was pretty much exactly what he expected. He talked about how one of the corporate directors had sacrificed his own daughter in order to keep one of his researchers on board. Referring to, of course, to Makino offering Osawa's eyes hand in marriage. Rumors aboard of marital strife between the newlyweds. The article went on to talk about how Ai had been dating another man before she and Osawa had gotten married. The whole thing was a bunch of puerile rubbish. Any marriage involved some kind of calculated self-interest after all. Whatever the reasons for their union, nothing had changed the fact that Ai was now his wife. With a faint sigh, Osawa put the scrapbooks back on the shelf. Feeling disconsolate, he returned to his study and began flipping through his CD rack. His eyes scanned for Ai Kamiki's album For Tomorrow, Forevermore. A lot of her more experimental numbers were on that album. Given how discombobulated he felt right now, this is what he needed to hear. Again, Osawa reflected on how there had been a time when he didn't care about music at all. He simply purchased a copy of a popular CD of the moment as birthday presents for his two girls. Happened to be the album by Aya Kamiki. Tommy was thrilled by the gift, but Maria didn't seem terribly fond of it. The next day she tossed her copy back on her father's desk. Figuring that throwing it away would be a waste, Osawa had stuck the CD in the screen to give it a listen. He was immediately bombarded by an intense beat boasted by bold, uplifting vocals. Aya Kamiki wrote her own lyrics, which did a fine job of conveying the emotions of a teenage girl. Osawa could hardly believe it. After listening to just one track, he was well and truly hooked. Before the day was out, he had purchased her entire discography. Huh? He muttered. For Tomorrow should have been in the CD rack, but there was no sign of it. Where the heck is it? Why isn't it here? For a moment he wondered if he was going crazy, and then he remembered. It was at the lab. He wanted somebody to listen to on break at work, so he bought the album there. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! I bet we listened to it made him want to hear all the more. It wasn't like he could just go out and buy another copy right now either. You just have to borrow the copy he'd given to Hitomi all those years ago. Unable to contain his need to hear that music, he went into Hitomi's room. There, he quickly rummaged the CD rack beside his daughter's bed. Part of him felt like he was being a little sneak thief. According to the email Tanaka had showed him, someone was trying to kill Hitomi. Under the circumstances, he knew that what he was doing was ridiculous. And yet he still couldn't resist the impulse to find the CD. But his efforts were to no avail. There were no Aya Kamiki CDs in the rack at all. Mozart? So I pulled out every CD on the rack, but they were all classical music. He slumped back in disappointment. It had to be somewhere in her room. So I jumped at the sound of his cell and fumbled to get out of his pocket. Makino's name was displayed on the LCD screen. I'm out front. That's all Makino said before hanging up. Hurriedly, Osawa began tidying up the CD rack. As he worked, he thought about what he was going to say to Makino. To think that someone had violated corporate policy to such unethical ends. It sullied his research. Osawa wasn't about to let anyone get away with it. And yet he was about to leave Hitomi's room. A sudden uncertainty gripped him. He hesitated. Did he have any right to condemn Makino for running trials in secret? Yes! His hand began to sweat as he gripped the doorknob. No, he didn't. How could he? His hands were dirty in all this, too. We need to keep this a secret just between us. You were testing too? Come on, Osawa. It'll be fine. We already cleared animal testing. Bruh. God damn. The memory's covered. Osawa himself had already administered the antiviral to someone, hadn't he? It was the only way. I do not like you, Osawa. Muttering to nobody in particular, Osawa trudged toward the front of his house. Shit.